like to open this meeting tonight and welcome all our guests. It's nice to see you here. Looking forward to hearing from you. First thing we have on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if I could ask you all to stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First, we need to approve the agenda, so I will entertain a motion to do that.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as published. Any discussion on that? No. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion is carried. Next, we have public comment, and we have a nice group here. We're glad to see that. Just a few things about public comment. We would like you to limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And we're going to have 30 minutes, no longer than 30 minutes. And it just so happens there are 10 that have signed up, so if each one takes 3 minutes, that would be 30 minutes. We don't want to shut anybody off short, but if you see me raise my hand, it means you're going a little bit long, and it may prevent somebody else from speaking. Also, we'd like you to introduce yourself, let us know what city you live in or what your address is, and if you have children in the school system, what school that they attend. Also, I just remind you, if people before you, if they comment that are the same comments that you make, you don't really need to repeat all of them, but you can just give us your summarized opinion. And lastly but not least, as you know, we do not answer what you're here for. We're here to listen, and it's not a debate and it's not a discussion, but it's to listen to you. And that's, according to statute, we can't get in and tell you and answer everything you come up at this point. So anyway, we'll go with our first addressee, and that's Kristen Todd. Good evening, Kristen.
Hi everyone. My name's Kristen. I live in Sandpoint. My stepson attends the middle school here. I'm here to address the school district's discriminatory mask policy. I believe our children have a right to breathe fresh air and not their own CO2. I believe they have a right to see each other's faces, to read facial expressions, hear voices clearly, and have their own voices heard clearly. When you force them to distance and cover their faces, you're harming their ability to develop socially, mentally, and emotionally. We already have a problem with mental health in our youth. We need to stop psychologically damaging our kids. When I've mentioned to school officials that children should have equal access to an education without discrimination, I'm told that they can attend online at home. This is not equal access to an education. Even if we assume that everyone has access to a computer or internet, we all know they don't. Most young kids do not do well distance learning. My stepson suffered at the end of last school year, both academically and emotionally. These kids need face-to-face interaction with their teachers and other students. Our tax dollars pay for public schools, so there needs to be equal access without discrimination. Title 18, U.S. Code 241, and Idaho Title 67-5909 both indicate that mask mandates and mask policies at a public place are a civil rights violation. I urge you to review both. It is my understanding that the only exemption to the mask policy is a doctor's note for a medical condition, but nothing is ever mentioned about religious exemptions. Many feel that covering one's face dishonors God. Many also believe, myself included, that supporting a false narrative, such as the idea that wearing a mask is beneficial, is bearing false witness, which goes against the ninth commandment. Requiring students to wear a mask is forcing many to go against their own religious beliefs. This is a religious discrimination. As far as I know, there has never been a successful risk assessment performed that shows that there is no physical harm done to someone who wears a mask for long periods of time. Until that can be proven, it is irresponsible to even consider having a mask requirement. There are no randomized controlled trials or peer-reviewed studies that prove masks help prevent the spread of the virus. An article found on the CDC website titled Non-Pharmaceutical Measures for Pandemic Influenza in Non-Healthcare Settings states, in pooled analysis, we found no significant reduction in influenza transmission with the use of face masks. COVID-19 is transmitted the same way the flu is transmitted. So where is the science to back these extreme mask-wearing measures? There isn't any. It seems to me that requiring another person to wear a mask in an effort to prevent the spread of disease is a form of mandated medical advice. It is illegal to offer medical advice without a medical license. More and more I see articles about kids passing out from wearing masks and of people getting sick with hypercarbia from wearing masks. The middle school assistant principal, in one conversation I had with her, referred to it as mask fatigue. How is this okay? A global research article titled The True Story of the 1918 Spanish Flu indicated that an estimated 95% of deaths at that time were caused by bacterial pneumonia and not by the Spanish flu itself. There is evidence to suggest this was likely caused by people wearing masks. Almost done. You as the school board trustees should really be thinking about your legal exposure in all of this. I wouldn't want to risk being on the wrong side of the law. Would you? Do you really want to be held responsible for these known adverse effects of mask wearing? Bottom line, we need to leave it up to the parents to decide if their children should wear a mask or not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you leave a copy of that? Is that a spare? Because it referenced some codes that I wanted to look at. Yeah, thank you. Sure.
Next we have Sherry Tilford.
Hello again, I'm
Hello.
Sherry Tilford. I live in Sandpoint. My daughter Isla goes to the homeschool academy. There's a fraud being perpetrated on a global scale, and there are three distinct cognitive biases that make it hard for people to see. One is the authority bias, where the public blindly and unquestioningly trusts people propped up as experts. Second is a cognitive dissonance, which is a discomfort aroused when a person confronts opposing ideas or beliefs, such as experts are right versus experts are lying. As Mark Twain said, it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled, but I'll try anyway. The third is the sunk cost fallacy, which leads an undisciplined gambler into ruin. That is, we've put this much time, effort, money into something, let's keep going. People talk about opinions on what we should do, but when opinions are based on lies, they are invalid. As any computer programmer will tell you, garbage in equals garbage out. Dr. Rainer Fuhlmich is a lawyer in California and Germany, one of 4 members of the German Corona Investigative Committee working on with an international network of lawyers who will argue the biggest court case the world has ever seen because the COVID-19 scamdemic may be the greatest crime against humanity in history. The facts to be presented in court are the PCR test is being used on the basis of false statements, not scientific facts. The creator of the PCR test explicitly stated it is not capable of diagnosing disease. It is not the gold standard of diagnostic COVID testing, as was stated at the last board meeting. A PCR test cannot distinguish inactive versus reproductive matter. It detects cellular debris, partial RNA sequences, and fragments of molecules that show nothing other than that the immune system has battled a cold, and the likelihood of false positives for this test is 89 to 94%. COVID-19 has been fraudulently listed on death certificates when autopsies prove the cause of death as otherwise. SARS-CoV-2 virus has not been isolated and proven to exist as a new and unique virus. The public has been deliberately driven to panic by politicians in the mainstream media. We've gotten positive PCR tests from goats, sheep, chicken wings, and a papaya. Positive cases mean nothing when it doesn't mean people are sick. This is a testing case-demic, a pandemic of hysteria. Dr. Mike Eden, former VP and Chief Science Officer of Pfizer, says we are basing our government policy, our economic policy, and the policy of restricting fundamental rights presumably on completely wrong data and assumptions about the coronavirus. If it weren't for the test results that are constantly reported in the media, the pandemic would be over because nothing really happened. About the PCR test, he says it is fatally flawed and must be immediately withdrawn and never used again in this setting. In George Orwell's book, 1984, Winston Smith says, and if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became the truth. If you continue to expect masks, anti-social distancing, testing, contact tracing, and quarantining healthy people, which has been shown in our community to be completely unnecessary, and without which we face no danger of the kinds of staff shortages that threaten school closure, I know I'm almost done, then you are complicit in perpetrating fraud and terrorizing the public and our children, for whom the worst psychological consequences are yet to come. We are tiptoeing toward tyrannical totalitarianism. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. If we continue with the unwarranted destruction of our freedoms and our community, we besmirch the memory of our veterans and render their sacrifices useless. For the love of sanity, wake up to the lies. If not now, then when? If not you, then who?
Actually, we have Evan Truberger.
Wow. That was really good. My name is Evan Tabarugan. Yeah. I have a son at the Homeschool Academy, and I live in Kootenai. I was here 2 weeks ago, and I saw mother after mother come up here and present statistic after statistic to show that what we are being told to be afraid of is not what we're being told. It's not the truth. The mortality rate for COVID-19 viruses been proven time and time again to be, if not the same as the flu, maybe a little bit less. So we know that there's not a health crisis. I think what we have right now is more of a spiritual crisis across this country. We are being lied to. We are being told to live in fear. I have seen children in my neighborhood go from playing together every day to not even getting near each other enough to say happy birthday, ride a bike and throw the gift out. I've seen mothers scream at them for riding bikes. I've seen the same people, the same doctors in this community that push the fear, go out and party together with their friends without masks, without fear of anything. Because, hey, do as I say, not as I do. I don't know why so many people are choosing to ignore the facts, to choose to remove themselves from what makes us special, a community, when you can't recognize a person in the supermarket, when you can't shake someone's hand. It destroys community. And that's what's happening here. And for this to happen to our children is so terrifying that I don't have any words for it. It's gone beyond scary. It's gone, for me, it's terrifying. It makes me angry to see this being perpetuated. How many times in the Bible did Jesus say, "Don't be afraid"? I think last time I saw one number was over 60 times. How many times does Jesus Christ need to say something? Once for you to listen. But he said it 60 times. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. And we're sitting here still, almost a year later, waiting for the wave to subside. We need to flatten the curve. There is no curve. It's right in front of us, and we're all living in fear, hiding their faces in shame with masks. They're afraid to touch each other, to give another person a hug. My parents haven't come out because they're afraid to see their own family. And I know we all have that in our lives right now, and it's very frustrating. The last thing I want to end on, when Jesus came before Pilate, Pilate asked him time and time again, "Are you the king? Who are you?" His response was that he was sent here to testify the truth. All those who know the truth will know him. And I want every one of you to look inside yourselves without fear. Look outside and just find the truth, please. It's for our children. Thank you.
Welcome
Living Wonderful and Vaughn Hughes.
Yes.
Yes, I saw it was next on the list. I'm a parent of 4 children that have been in the Lake Pend School District, 2 of which are still of age, 2 of which are actually graduated and off now. But I want to speak specifically to the school board. You are elected representatives of us as parents and us as a people. We love Superintendent Albertson and others that serve and that are employed by the district. They, however, are not chosen to represent us. You are also in a position where you are able to make policy decisions on behalf of and that affect the children of this school district. It's not just finances. It's fun to talk about finances and numbers, and you guys do a great job with that, and that's great. And I recognize that sometimes your hands are a little tied because the state imposes things on you and can limit what you're able to do. However, this is not the day for simply going with what you're told. Just over 500 years ago, there was an invention that changed the world. It was called the Gutenberg printing press. It allowed the printing of the Bible and many other things such that the common man could disseminate information. We're no longer stuck listening to officials, people that tell us what was the case. Today, there's a digital printing press that's available. Even when every other means is compromised, it is still possible to communicate information. There's a wealth of information. I echo the comments that have already been shared by those that have spoken before me and by those that spoke last time. I listened to all of the women that spoke. I was so impressed. They're very articulate. I listened to Superintendent Albertson later remind you as the school board that you are the policy decision makers in this district. It is not Panhandle Health. It is not the state of Idaho. It is you. You have the choice. You can tiptoe and make tiny little decisions about maybe shortening the number of days that somebody needs to quarantine as children from the schools, but it is up to you. You can make changes that are larger or smaller, and I would encourage you to do that. As a reminder, I'm just going to call out something that felt a little disingenuous to me in some of the earlier communication from the school district. There are a lot of parents that have chosen not to have their children in school ostensibly because they're worried about their safety. What has not been asked is what parents mean by safety. Okay? Safety isn't just about keeping children safe from the scary, to be feared virus, which has a lower chance of killing you if you're under 60 than influenza. The CDC has made that clear now. I know I'm out of time. I want to remind you that the data is not now what it was in February. You have access to information and data. You have access to information that even Panhandle Health is not paying attention to, and that your state representatives and elected officials are not paying attention to. You are the authorities here. And I think you, just like me, someday when I stand before a just and holy being that we call God, after this very short life, I'm not going to be able to say, well, those are the guys that should take responsibility for it. That's me that has to do that. Even if there's not legal responsibility, we individually are responsible for our choices, especially when we're in positions where we can make changes. When we're elected officials, that's especially true. And I want to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you. I know, David Forsythe was next. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is David Forsythe. I live in Sandpoint. I'm a grandfather with 18 children, 14 of which are in the Lake Pend School District. So I have a stake in the issues at hand. I want to thank you, all of you, for your service. It's not easy. I recognize that. In my own professional careers, I've sat in similar positions to yours, and I understand what's involved. But here's, I guess, what I'm tonight would like to ask of you, and that is to think through your exit strategy here. What I mean by that is, when this thing first started, it was scary, and a whole safety protocol was built out on the basis of the information that we had. But the information, as it's come in and it's become fuller and fuller, we've got to realize, as the people who've gone before have said, this thing is nowhere near as dangerous or as deadly as it was originally advertised to be. So here's my question, is how do we get out of the box we've built? When do we stop wearing masks? When do children stop having plexiglass between them like they were convicts? When are children able to play together on the playground again? When does life return to normal, and how? Is it when there's a vaccine? Is that the exit strategy? We wait for a vaccine? We're in an area that is the least vaccinated in the country. People are not going to be vaccinated. So if that's the exit strategy, till everybody gets a vaccination, that's not an exit strategy at all. Is it we're going to wear masks until we have herd immunity? Well, if we're going to do that, let's rip them off and let's get herd immunity and get this thing over with. That's what I'm asking you, is please articulate to the public, how do we get out of this thing? Or is this life forever? It's this, and then it's this, and then it's this. You know, there's always going to be a scare of sickness. Always. We can't live like this forever. There's got to be a way out. And it's up to you, as the man who went before me. You're the leaders here. Leaders don't wait until somebody else makes the decision for them. That's what politicians do, so they can spread the blame around. You're the leaders. You need to make a principled decision. You need to articulate it to the public and tell us, when is this over? When does this thing get over? Thank you.
Okay. Next is Duval Kid. I thought it might have been my last name, but I think it's more than that.
Hello, my name is Jubilant Duval. I'm 13 years old, and I'm in 8th grade in the Homeschool Academy. And we wrote this song to encourage you to stand up for the children in our community and the students in our community.
We've quarantined, we covered our faces, and now it's time to stop. It's time to use our love for others. It'll take courage, but we will give hugs. So we'll take a stand, and we will stand strong. We must unmask this lie. So stand up and shout. Put your hands up. Come on, let's figure this out. Our separation will be the end of our nation. So stand up. Come on, put your hands up. You've got to get up and take a stand.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much. That was very nice. Beautiful voice. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. The next speaker will be Sharon Bachman. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Brockman. I'm in Sagal. I have 3 grandchildren at Homeschool Academy. And what I want to talk about is censorship today. I feel our free speech is kind of disappeared. Well, I agree with everybody. I'm echoing the same thoughts as what we've been hearing tonight regarding masks and what's happened in our school system and the negative effects that it is causing people and the stress. I mean, it's my mother, she's hard of hearing. She reads lips. She won't leave the house now. She's depressed. It's just wearing masks has been very difficult for her. And so today I started to do some research to talk about something here specifically. And all I found was all the articles that I've read, which mimic what I've been hearing tonight. I get stuff like this. This video has been removed for violating YouTube's term of service. It's censorship. There's a narrative going out right now that is only going in one direction if you're on social media or the mainstream news. And it is wear masks, and it's social distance, and we've got all these cases, and we've got to worry about killing our grandparents. And if you want to find another form of information, which is lots of it out there, this is what's happening now. It's censored. So if you're not going to really look and try hard to find the whole story, you're only going to see what they want you to see for people who are pushing a narrative right now. And why they're pushing it, there's a lot of speculation on that. I don't understand it myself. It doesn't make sense when we know the CDC is saying what everyone else has said here, that the death rate from this COVID is so low, it does not warrant anything that's going on right now. We don't shut down our schools, and we don't destroy our children's ability to make contact with people and play with each other. And when you do try to find information, when doctors want to speak up, that see things, they get censored. You can't even go out there, and I wanted to print out some stuff to come and show you. And it's all censored now. Why? Why is that? I have to ask you, why would somebody want to censor, one part of the narrative? These are professionals. They are doctors, they are virologists, they are people who are very qualified to give us information on this. And they're all being censored. So that's just what I want to say, that I want you to hear all of us, and also do your own research and see if you can get both sides. And if you can't, ask why. Thank you.
Next we have Paisley Magnan.
You could probably stand right here, you're a little short.
Hi, my name is Paisley Bangman, and I go to Southside Elementary out in Coca-Cola, and I live out in Coca-Cola. I don't agree with masks. All they're doing is nothing. It doesn't make any sense to me if I wear a mask on the morning bus, but I don't have to wear a mask on the afternoon bus. It doesn't make sense to me that I have to wear a mask in the hallways and I don't have to wear one in the classroom. I don't feel comfortable wearing a mask. I think it doesn't, nothing, I don't want to wear a mask. It is not your choice, it's my mom and dad's choice.
Next we have Gerald Meyer.
I'm sad I don't get the microphone tonight. I need it. My students never hear me. I'm Geraldine Meyer. I live in Sagal, 1948 Sagal, Lignite Road. And I'm also the post-secondary transition counselor at Sandpoint High School. And I just feel like I've been remiss on behalf of our students. I wanted to say thank you. We just completed some neat things that the state has started. We just completed application week. The Idaho has that for the month, and we just were able to help 157 of our seniors at Sandpoint High School submit over 562 applications. And what's wonderful about that is that's not just for your traditional four-year college, that's for some technical programs, some trade programs, and for the traditional four-year. And so what I found is, because I've been on the state committees for this initiative that our state has done, my counterparts in other parts of the state have not been so lucky to have their students face-to-face. And so masks, no masks, smaller time, whatever it is, I just wanted to say on behalf of our students, we would not have been able to have those kinds of results without being face-to-face. And so thank you for keeping our district going in such a positive method and for keeping us where many of our students are able to come face-to-face and we're able to get information. And so I just thought you should know some of the really cool things that are happening, and we were able to do that. And we started our freshman research papers and our sophomore research papers in our English classes, and in 20 minutes we have our All Things Senior event, our Zoom event, which is workforce bound and really focusing on those opportunities for students that are interested in going. And so on behalf of our seniors, it was fun. I was visiting with some of the seniors as we do application week, and really, and they're just like, I'm so glad we're able to come and get help. And so, thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our time, and also those that have signed up. But I don't want to cut anybody out. If there's anybody that did not sign up that's here that would like to speak, they're welcome to do so. We'll just take the extra time to do that. So please come forward. Yes.
Hi, my name is Nikki Kazanis. I live in Sandpoint, and I have two sons in the Sandpoint High School. In my last address to you on October 27th, I cited the exact verbiage from the Idaho School Board Association standards regarding your role as a school board trustee. That role is specific. You are to serve as a bridge between the parents, students in our community, and the school. Each of your positions are to represent us. I informed you about the Panhandle Health District's vote 4-2, which ended their prior mask mandate. I also brought to your attention that the Lakeland School District does not currently have, nor have they ever had, a mask mandate since this school year began. During the past 2 weeks, I have often wondered how many of you had contacted the Lakeland School District to find out about their current school procedures, no mask mandate, and results thereof. I expressed with deep concern the July 2020 poll parents received when asked about schools reopening procedures. The results of that poll were highly inaccurate and intentionally deceptive with the way in which the questions were asked. As of today, no such new poll has been sent out to the parents within the Lake Penderile School District. If your role is to be a bridge, then we ask that you first question the parents, students, and community. Why have you not asked us? What are you waiting for? Are we to believe that your current mask mandate reflects our wishes, despite not having asked us? Who is controlling and swaying your decisions? Because it is not we the people. You have not confided in us with this grave matter. I see several of you tonight not wearing masks. Some have slid the masks down during the meeting last week, or down below your nose, or down below your mouth. And so I asked, if you believe in masks, then, hold on. Hold on just a second. So if your stance about the masks is, well, we are worried about grandma dying of COVID-19, and we are worried about school staff getting COVID-19 and not being able to operate fully and functionally, then I ask you this. How can you determine the students and teachers wear a mask when many of the school board members, principals, and vice principals only wear a mask sometimes, or pull their masks below their nose, or even below their mouth? The principal and vice principal of the junior high have been seen not wearing masks at even school football and basketball tournaments. Do you see the hypocrisy in this? Either the mask must be worn by all of the time, or they simply do not work, and it is just a means of controlling our children and the school staff. Otherwise, you cannot truly believe in the supposed severity of this virus, or you would always wear a mask properly. On October 27th, I witnessed you all bring the subject of quarantine duration to a vote. Why is this mask mandate not being brought to another vote? Please, poll the parents asking whether or not they would like their students to be required to wear a face covering of any sort or not.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any more would you like to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Wallace Duvall, and I'm the father of those 3 bright young world changers over there. I've heard Jordan Peterson say that people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. Ideas are so powerful that people fight for them, and they die for them, and they kill for them. Ideas are so powerful that even though in one moment they may die for it, in another moment they're turned on their head and they fight for the opposite thing. Ideas. What makes us human? Yes, we have frontal lobes, we have thumbs, we can think. Some may argue computers can think too, but we have hearts. And we know what love is. Personally, I can't offer you all the facts, and I don't think it would do a lot of you good. You seem like well-informed people, and you know the facts. But listen to your hearts. Our hearts is what makes us human. And these mandates are making us the opposite of human. We're separating ourselves. We're separating what makes us human. We touch, we love, we feel. There's some truths deeper in our hearts that can be rationalized in our mind. And in fact, it's been argued that the heart is the primary organ both of communication and intelligence. Check in with your hearts. Be human, not machine. Thank you.
We're going to wrap it up now. I want to, first of all, thank all of you for coming to speak. As you know, this is not a public meeting. It's a meeting open to the public, but it's not a public meeting. So it's a business meeting, and you're all welcome to stay. There's some really interesting business going on. I say that somewhat in jest, but you are invited to stay if you'd like. I think we'll just take a short break, so if you want to clear out, you're welcome to. If you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're really welcome to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to continue our meeting, so if you're exiting, please exit. If you're not, please sit down. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on for information items and reports. And the first one we have is under administration, and it's staff introductions and recognition. Superintendent.
Yes, we can have Officer David Giffen please come forward. So tonight we would like to recognize different employees, and tonight would be our school resource officers, and we're very proud to have the partnership that we have with the Sandpoint City Police with Officer David Giffen and Officer Ryan Root. Ryan was not able to make it tonight, but I do really appreciate that partnership in their presence, not only as a law enforcement, but also as educators, because they really do work just in educating teenagers, so I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
So I will give you that.
Normally get a speaker, so not really.
Well, I just want to say I do very much appreciate your services, and I think the SRO program that we have makes a big difference in our schools. And as you know, last year we were able to expand that out to Kootenai Elementary as, so we're continuing to expand and have the presence there. And I say it's not, it's an education piece that we have law enforcement actually educating students about, even careers in law enforcement. It's been a very positive influence on our community, so I'll say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
We do not have to stay for the whole meeting.
But we can if you want.
Thank you, Pearson. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is we have a school presentation for Clark Fork Junior and Senior High School, and the principal is here, Phil Kimming. Take it away, Phil.
Alrighty, you guys, thanks for having me tonight. Some of the things that we're proud of this year. Student engagement. Kids were ready to come back to school after being out of school in the springtime, and the shortened day for me was a worry because we have so much curriculum to get through, but I'll tell you, when you walk up and down the halls this year, it's amazing how kids are engaged. You don't have any kids screwing off in the back of the classroom. They're all sitting there, they're focused, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're learning, and they're all very appreciative to be back in the building. School-wide discipline. This is something that you're going to probably hear that's common throughout the district. It is, at my school, I've had one kid get in trouble this year. It's well, two now. I get to go back and deal with kids spinning donuts in the grass. But this year has been crazy. Once again, they're engaged. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing in the classroom, and so it has been an amazing year in regards to that. Due to COVID and the environment that we're in now, technology is playing a huge role, and it's something we're supposed to be good stewards. We're supposed to be teaching kids how to communicate. That includes in today's technological world. We've had issues in the past where kids don't really know how to talk to adults. They're used to texting a lot, and so it's been abbreviated verbiage and stuff out to adults, to their instructors. You hear it from the IDLA teachers. We have issues with this young man or this young lady because they are not talking appropriately, professionally. It's given us the opportunity to actually reach out to the kids, teach them what appropriate communication looks like in a digital world. Sports. Thank goodness we have not had to quarantine. Knock on wood, we're getting ready to start basketball. I know one of our districts in our league just informed me today that they are putting off their basketball season until January, and they're only able to play league teams. And so thank you to you guys for allowing us to continue on with sports in our district, because it's a huge, important part of kids' lives. It's what keeps some of them coming to school every single day. And this year, with the stresses around COVID, it has been a great outlet for a lot of our kids. The community, same thing. As much as I'm trying to make people spread apart, wear masks and stuff, our bleachers, our events have been we've had more attendance this year than the last 10 years. I mean, it's amazing how many people are coming because they want to see they want to get out of their house. And it's been a great year for sports as well. A lot of help is run. Usually at Clark Fork, because we are so small, we don't have a lot of staff, and so running athletic events it can be difficult. This year we've had, a ton of people just step up and say, hey, can I help, can I help, can I help? It's been awesome. Technology. I'm going to talk a little bit about technology. I'm going to grab my phone and talking about how we've been thrust into a different world. This is pretty sweet. If you guys have probably seen, if you have the QR reader, one of my teachers actually uses that every single day. Kids have it when they're walking into class. Click. That should do it. There we go. I think it'll even grab off there. There we go. My phone is now downloading today's agenda, the to-do list, the expected goals, outcomes, and all the links to the class. And so I've hot linked this just so I can kind of show you guys what's going on. So every single week, this teacher brings this up. Kids, like I said, when they're walking into the class, click, they've got this right in front of them because this is our go-to for the kids' little tool that they have. And so they've got everything that we're doing. There's Monday. Tuesday is an off class for this class. There's Wednesday, and this is everything that they're expected to do, expected to know. There are hot links to videos, hot links to PowerPoints. And it's awesome because the kids have this. They can take it home, show their parents if parents are interested. But it's an awesome tool, so there's no questions asked. Oh, I missed those notes. Well, now you've got it right here. If I can get rid of this thing, speaking of technology.
Text one of your kids.
Yeah. Oh crap, hold on.
So if you open the window in its entirety in that document, you should, not the presentation, but that link?
Oh, you're
I'm
on.
good,
Okay.
I got there. The other thing that's going, Clarkport, you guys know, is a small community, and people are proud of the community. One of the things that we are continuing to work on, that kiosk, our Wampus Park disc golf and golf course, it's been used a lot. We've been waiting for signage for a few years. We have a partner that's been making the signs for each hole, and those are all installed right now. But the teacher, we have a teacher that's working with the class to put up the great big huge sign that welcome to Wampus Park. These people help make this thing happen. These are the sponsors of the holes and stuff, and so it's been awesome. I'm going to talk about 21st century skills, but it's been great because all the community's coming together constantly out there, and now I've got a group of kids who are tying in the math concepts to, well, they're getting ready to build this sign, so they're figuring out what do I use this math for? Okay, well here's an example. Other projects that we're working, finger hockey boards. The kids are once again tying in math concepts, and they're going to be making these, I don't know, they're about as big as this podium's top board. And we are going to be doing some outreach with Hope Elementary, where the elementary kids are going to help build these things. And then the elementary kids are going to be able to keep their set, and any extras we're going to, well, if we get to have our alumni tournament, we're going to make open for people to purchase at that. So it's great where, once again, our kids are reaching out to the elementary kids, and so it's going to be awesome. Wreath sales, the golf course, like I said, it's been an amazing addition to our campus. And then, this year we didn't have school photos, and so I had some kids step up, hey, can I use the school's camera? And they're on the yearbook, and so we have all of our school photos done by the kids, and so the yearbook's going to be good to go in time. One of the other great additions that, well, it's been amazing. Not that our old CTE program was bad, but our new teacher, I said this at an earlier board meeting, he comes from industry, and he is bringing some brand new subjects, and the kids are really interested in them. And the other thing, SAT scores, I just got the results back yesterday for our school. 1055 is the average. It's not too shabby. You guys know I've got a small school, so I can skew it really easy. So I had like a low score of 730 or something like that, and a high of almost 1400. So it's been a pretty good year for the SAT. All right. The kiosk I spoke about, and the fingerboards. This is the extent of the size of that class. So these guys it's somewhat, they're learning how to construct a pole barn. But they're, like I said, they're going to be putting together, I think it's about an 8-foot by 6-foot sign, something like that, and it's being made right now. That's being CNC'd. They're using a CNC machine to basically carve it out of a big chunk of plastic. And so it's been great having the kids actually be a part of, once again, the community giving back. Student engagement using 21st century school skills. Some of the things you're seeing up here, that's open source. Oh, my right arm really hard. Open source, what's it called? CAD, that the kids are starting to work with. And so there's about 8-10 kids in that class. First time our school has seen it in probably about 16 years. And so it's awesome to bring that back. We have computer, over this picture we've got some kids that are starting to do computer programming stuff, and they're actually learning how to program simple games, and we're moving into apps and stuff after that. Another picture of kids using the CNC plasma cutters. The hope is, I wish I had one here, but we're going to be building these big, huge fire pit globes that are all CNC cut, hammered out, and anyway, it's sweet and it's awesome because I've got interest from both boys and girls. Okay, our goals this year. I want to continue the community engagement. It's what makes our school as personal as it is, because, like I said, community is a big part of that school. Every single morning, if you guys haven't seen them, we do video announcements that are posted on YouTube, and so those go out every single morning. The Wampus Park's been a huge part of it, but we're continuing, like we always talk about the old guard in Clark Fork. We have community members who were basically, they've lived there all their lives, and we are trying to instill that community service piece into all the kids, and hopefully we're trying to find some younger people that are going to start replacing some of these the old guard. And so just giving back to the community gives so much to that school. We're trying to find ways constantly to give back to our community. In regards to ELA scores, our ELA scores are pretty average to above. We're above the state's average, and so we're continuing to work on that stuff. This year's big focus is through argumentative and rhetorical essay. And so every single teacher is creating opportunities for kids to do written essays. We are using Google Citation, MLA format, and even in our PE classes, that teacher today was going through a video with kids on how to cite sources and write essays. And so that, combined with our DWA, just the continued practice, and then using just in prep for the ISAT, we're hoping to have great scores this year. Math, we didn't really get a feel of this out last year because we didn't have the ISAT. Our math scores, just like the other schools, are not very strong. But the hope is having the additional math teacher and being able to have kids kind of split off a little bit. Because when you've got kids that are, I'll say, at a 6th grade level, and then kids that are at a 10th grade level in math, it's real hard to meet everybody's needs. And so being able to divide those kids up, split them off, we have more time that we can work with individual kids. Accreditation is going to be a huge goal for us. It is my year for accreditation. Our accreditation review is going to be in February of this year, and it's a unique year because everything is virtual. And so we're in the process right now of reaching out to the community, getting all the prep work going for that. It's probably going to, if you were to hit print, it's probably going to be a 300+ page document that they review when they come through. And so that's one of the things that we're really, we got to start focusing a lot of attention on it. Student views. I just threw these things up here for fun. It's welcome back to the school year, and for what I said earlier, the kids are really appreciative to be back in school. For those of you that spoke against the masks, I definitely have heard that as well. Nobody likes wearing them, but this year, at least at my school, it has gone very well. I don't think I had a single student who said, I'm not wearing one, and so it's been great. They understand, and I told them, use me. If you guys see me walking around that school when my mask is off or my mask is part way down, I want you guys to yell at me. And so there are kids who have definitely taken me up on the offer, because it's hard. I'm sitting in my office and all of a sudden I bolt out and, oh crap, I forgot my mask. And so they tell me right away if I've forgotten my mask. It's hard for all of us, and I see both sides of it. One of the things that I really did like in here is the kids were They were very, very happy that we were back in school. They were happy that they were able to go back 5 days a week, and one of the students referenced a neighboring district, and they're just, everybody's happy to be back, and I think that ties into the culture of the school. It's been a very positive school year so far, and I hope that it continues. The shortened days, I don't know what it is, and I've told Tom this, the kids love it, and I think that also ties into just they're engaged. When they're in those classes, it is all business. It's been a very positive year. And the next one, any questions? And you guys, we got Veterans Day tomorrow, and that was just finished on our fence today.
Awesome.
Oh, great.
I like it.
Any questions? Elizabeth? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you,
Appreciate
Phil.
it so much. Keep up
Yeah.
the good work.
Yep.
Encouraging.
All right,
We're
guys.
real proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
The next item we have on the agenda is the first reading of policy. Senior Human Specialist Jennifer Capodanno, and our clerk, Kelly Fisher.
All right. So I'm going to co-present with our Senior Human Resource Specialist, so I think this is a good time for introductions as well, if you haven't met her. Jennifer Capodanno, or Jen. And would you like me to start? So first, the board has all of these policies in your board packet. And then we just open it up for questions to you. If you would like us to go through each policy individually and discuss. So in front of you tonight, you have 2 for review, and you have 1 new.
If you could just give us see if there are any changes in the highlights.
Yes.
The ones that, and then a little more depth on them.
Absolutely. So in your summary for the agenda request that was in your packet, you have policies 5240 and 5250. Those are revisions to those policies due to Title IX regulations that were mutually applied to many other policies throughout. And we're going to be bringing those to you, a policy probably every board meeting until we're up to date with all of our Title IX requirements. And then our new policy, which we'll go over, is outside of Title IX, and that's due because ISBA, just in this statement in your summary, ISBA worked with the State Insurance Fund to create a work safety policy that may help prevent injury and help mitigate workers' compensation claims. So if you just want to flip to the first policy in your packet, 5240, that's a revision. And you will see almost at the very bottom of the first page, the revisions, the additional language is in bold. That's referencing our new Title IX policy. I believe you guys adopted that at the end of September. Don't know exactly when you guys adopted that, but I think it was around that time frame. And then our procedure, so it's referencing that in that section there. Again, on page 2, you are going to see at the very first paragraph, investigation. Again, it's going to bring people back to that Title IX policy. Any questions, paragraph by paragraph, would you like me to go through?
Okay.
On that one, it's pretty straightforward what's been added.
And then under confidentiality, the same. It's going to reference back to our Title IX policy and procedure in that section. And then on the very bottom, our cross-references are updated to reference those 2 Title IX, well, the Title IX policy and procedure there. That's the 3085. And then some Idaho code, we've just cleaned up some formatting and completed actually those references down there in the bottom. So that is that policy for revision. Moving on to our next policy to revise, 5250, grievance. It's language that was referenced from Idaho or ISBA model policy, this paragraph here. And then in the
certified staff, you're going to see the reference under subsection 1 to that Title IX policy again.
Yep.
Moving on to the second page, and that's in policy 5250. Again, just the reference to the Title IX. Just bringing our policy up to speed now that we have our Title IX policy. And again, at the very bottom, our cross-references are brought up to speed as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions on the board?
No, and then there's.
Okay. And then our new policy that we're presenting, which is due to the workers' compensation, this is like exact language from the Idaho School Boards Association, the recommendation. We're presenting it to you for first reading tonight for hopeful adoption at next meeting. It's all in bold, as you can see. And then if there was any discussion from the board on this one, we could entertain those questions.
I think we're fine on that. Thank you.
Okay?
I noticed they didn't include compensation for trustees.
Yes, these are very highly paid.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you and welcome.
And we'll see you, it sounds like, at every meeting.
Well, not at every meeting, but whenever there's policy regarding
Yeah.
our personnel, you'll for sure see Jen. from now on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we're on the action items, and the first one we have is the consent agenda.
So I would make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as published.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as published. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
That motion is adopted. Next, we have, under administration, alternate authorization content specialist, new Michelle Blumenberg at Kootenai Elementary.
Yeah, and I'll take that real quick. Michelle is a special education teacher that we have at Kootenai Elementary, and is working on taking her teaching certificate, which is valid in the state of Illinois, to the state of Idaho, but they're requiring her to take the praxis exam to make that complete, and she's in the process of completing that. So in the interim, until the praxis exam is taken, we are applying for the alternate authorization. But she is a certified teacher in the state of Illinois and is now just in that process of getting it done. So,
Any questions on the board on that? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the alternate authorization content specialist, new for Michelle Blumenberg.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this special alternate authorization as stated in the motion. Any discussion at all? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion is adopted. Next, we have request to open RPF for a forward networking project for fiscal year 2021-22. And Matt Bass will brief us on that. Good evening, Matt.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Okay, so this is for fiscal, this will start July 1 of next fiscal year 2021. I just want to get ahead of the board. This is to go out, request for proposals on 4 different projects, and that puts us in the E-rate timeline. E-rate, all of those have to be done and filed by like late February. We always like to get ours done nice and early, and so that's why I'm just going before you. The first step is to go out for RFP, and then once we get the proposal, we come back to the board on the ones that we've chosen, and then we can move forward with our E-rate funding. If you don't remember, E-rate is a federal grant program, and based off our enrollment and free and reduced lunch numbers, the federal grant covers 70% of the cost of networking. Category 2 is what we're going for here, networking solutions. And then there's Category 1, which helps cover our WAN and our internet and things like that, which are separate from this. So the 4 that I'm asking for is, the first one is an adaptive security device. It's basically a firewall and then some. We, in our network district plan, we like to replace those about every 5 to 6 years. This one I think is about 8 years old and predates my time here by quite a bit. This is a single point of failure device, and so in August we hit a spot where we were down for about 2 days because our ASA did go down. We Adnetics, a company we work with out of Post Falls, got us a temporary one when we got ours fixed. And so we put that on the list this year to just get a new one. We're going to take ours down, we're going to refurbish it, and then we'll have it on the shelf as a backup in case we need it. And that will put us in a place where pretty much our entire network at that point will have redundancy in it. So if something goes down the same day, we'll be able to get it out. That's just in the last couple of years we've been able to do that. So that's the ASA. Does anybody have any questions on that? I'll just ask questions after each one. Okay. Next one, uninterruptible power supplies, UPSs. These basically sit in our network racks, and these provide power in case of brownouts or blackouts up to about 15 minutes. If the power goes out, it keeps our devices running. This goes to computers, phones, anything that's getting power over Ethernet. Right now, UPSs probably, again, haven't been upgraded in probably 7 to 10 years, depending on where they're at. We do have UPSs in most of the locations, but the time that they're running is down to 30 seconds to a minute. The batteries are starting to fail on them. And so next year we want to get those in all of the MDF, which is the main distribution points where the internet comes into the schools, and then the IDFs in the large schools. So in a school like Kootenai, on East Wing you have an MDF, on West Wing you've got an IDF that connects to the MDF. We want to keep both those up and running, and that'll keep the power out to the phones and the computers. And so if the power does stay off for a long period of time, we can gently turn all of the equipment off, and it keeps it safe too, so that we don't damage the equipment with brownouts. Any questions there?
So these are battery power supplies?
Yeah. Yep. They're rack-mounted power supplies, and they sit in there, and then we plug the important devices into those, like our 48, 28, and 48 port main switches, our main switches at each school, our ASA and firewalls at the district office, all of those. Okay. Network switch upgrades. When we were preparing these, we were out in the schools and we were doing some audits, and we found a couple old switches that had gotten through our upgrades over the last few years. We found 4 24-port switches and 2 48-port switches that some of them are approaching 10 to 12 years in age. We can't do any management from those remotely. We have to do them all on site. Some of the ports are starting to fail on them, and so we put those on the list to upgrade those. And like I said, over the last 5 years, we have brought our network up to a very, very scalable high level, and it's allowed us to have the one-to-one devices in classrooms and things like that. And so this is just kind of picking up that low-hanging fruit, if you were the ones that missed those projects because of budgets or other things in those years. So we've got 4 24-port, 2 48-port, and then 1 Cisco Catalyst, which is just a main edge switch that sits at one of the schools. Any questions on that? Go to the next one. All right, so the last one is Meraki licensing. We have about almost 450 Meraki devices. It's a company that's owned by Cisco. Those are 8 24 48-port switches along with the access points. Basically, we have access points in nearly every classroom for the one-to-one devices. We pay licensing on those, and when we first got those through an E-rate program, we paid 3-year licensing, and then that rolls in to start paying on a yearly licensing after that wears off. That is E-rateable, all the licensing, and so we are going to apply for E-rate funding to cover 70% of the licensing costs, and we're going to do that on a 5-year period. So this RFP will be requesting a 5-year price point from someone for the licensing for a Meraki devices.
Will there be a separate RPF for each project, or?
Yeah. The way that E-rate does it is each one of them has to be a separate RFP. We could try to roll these all into 1 or 2, but E-rate is very specific about the way that they want these, and so we're doing 4 separate. Some of them are just for the devices. Some of them are for device configuration and install. So
what's the total cost for a project?
The total. Well, we have to get the proposals before we know for sure. But if I were to go market value on this would probably be about $100,000 worth of goods and licensing and configuration and things like that. So our price on it would probably be about 30 is what we're budgeting for next year. A little bit more.
And it's
just
already
in case it comes
in the budget, so that's impressive.
It's every year we have a chunk of budget that I have set aside for networking in particular, and so we have more than enough to cover this. And then if anything else comes up, we like to keep a little bit away in case we have a massive failure of the device.
Kelly, do we need a motion to
Thank
approve?
you.
this?
Yeah.
You do.
So I'll make a motion to give permission for the technology department to open requests for proposals for these 4 networking projects for fiscal year 21-22.
Second that.
It's been moved and second that we approve the motion that was just stated. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion is adopted.
Thank you,
very
Matt.
much.
Thank you.
The last thing we have asked the Superintendent Albertson to review the Lake Ponderay District COVID reopening plan to align with the State Board of Education's adjusted criteria. So I asked him if he could
Sure.
address that matter for
Yeah,
us.
so let me just kind of give you an update. It's been 2 weeks since we have talked about this, and again, this is the county by county of the 5 northern counties, but Panhandle Health District, and they have given 3 gating criteria. And as you can see that Kootenai County, Boundary County, and Shoshone County are in the red, which is extensive, or I think they call it maybe substantial community spread of COVID. Bonner County and Benoit County are still in our orange color. As we had talked 2 weeks ago, you did not change anything from our educational programming. Even though we went from yellow to orange, we stayed in our yellow hybrid plan 5 days a week with students, okay? So I just wanted to remind you of that. A few other things I would like to show you is to remind you of these metrics here. So one metric was that it's recommended that we use is the 7-day rolling average, and in the moderate range, risk range, it is 16 to 30, and that is per 100,000 people. Now, obviously, we don't have 100,000 people that live in our community, so they would calculate that out. The testing positivity rate for our county is between 8.1 to 20, and our regional hospital bed occupancy is greater than 90%. Those are the 3 metrics that we've been watching all along. To move from what they call a moderate risk to a substantial risk would take that 7-day rolling average to be greater than 30, and moving the testing positivity rate greater than 20%. That means 20% of everybody who goes in and gets tested is getting a positive. And the hospital capacity, including ICUs, consistently are at above 100%. Okay, so I just want to remind you of those metrics. So this is updated. This is the 7-day average, and you can see what's happening in our community right now. This is one of the metrics that is updated daily, and you can see we're at 28.1. Remember the orange, which was moderate risk, was between 16 to 30. We're approaching that 30. They update that every Thursday. I don't know what Thursday's going to bring. I just don't know where we're going to be at in our community based off this metric. But you can see that we're currently at 28.1, and you can see this sharp incline. And I'll talk about this a little bit more when I look at our district data. What was that I want to share with you? Next is, and again, we have a very good working relationship with our health professionals in our communities, but to no avail, we're still a week behind, at least, on our percent positivity testing. So this is back to October 31st. This is the best data I can get. It's at 8.6%. Remember, it needs to be above 20%, but I am almost positive that it is much higher than 8.6 from what's kind of going on. Okay. So this is extremely small. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. In the last 2 weeks, this is what's happened in our school district. I believe we were at 14 total cases. Now we're at 21. as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, and again, this is not, this is only observation, this is not enough data to draw any conclusions from, and so I really want to be careful there. My observation is still that we are not seeing any student-to-student spread. Every student who has tested positive, it's because they have a parent or someone in their household who has tested positive. And that's still our observation. So I just want to say that, you know, of these 21, and this is cumulative, this isn't just in the last 2 weeks. So if we went, we're saying 14, so it's about 7 new cases that we're aware of, you know. And so of those 21 cases, I think we have 9 that are adults and 12 that are students. We had 3 probables over here that we don't have in that count. So of those 12 students, you know, usually, and I can't think of one case where it wasn't that the parents, one of the parents tested positive, and then the student ended up testing positive. And if I could just re-emphasize again, and I'm so thankful for most, all parents have just, as soon as somebody in their household wasn't feeling well, just keep your kids home. I mean, that, and I want to say that openly in a meeting because that keeps other kids in school. You know, yes, your own kids may have to go out for a little while, but that is the #1 thing is keep your kids home if they're not feeling well or if somebody else in your household is not feeling well. Because when that happens, yes, I know it's hard for their own kids, but it's not taking a whole class with them, and that's important. So, I want to remind you that this plan, which was developed over the summer, this was our red, full distance, substantial community spread plan, okay? And remember, this was based off of what we experienced in the spring. So we spent a lot of time on our green plan and our yellow plan, okay? We didn't really spend a lot because I really, to be honest with you, maybe we were just hopeful that we wouldn't be at a spot where we're at 28.1, looking at 30, and if we need to go to red. So what I'm asking today is what I'm going to show you next is there's a little misconception that because the county goes a certain color that you have to, or you make the decision that our education follows in step. It does not need to. And let me give you an example. Kootenai County is in red. I've talked to the superintendent at Coeur d'Alene School District. Their K-8 is going 4 days a week. They have 1 day remote learning. Their high school is on a orange, like our orange would be, where they go to 2 days a week, half of them. Boundary County is red. They've differentiated their schools depending upon what schools had some spread in there. So they have schools on different plans. Lakeland is in Kootenai County in red, and they're continuing in their yellow plan, which is very similar to our yellow plan. And Post Falls also is still going face-to-face. Now, obviously with some safety precautions, and they were looking at their staggering, going back for 2 days a week and a few of those things. So I wanted to let you know why I'm presenting today is because my proposal to you, and it's your decision as a board, is that we revamp our red plan because I believe what's best for our kids is to be in school, even though we've only got 21 cases, and maybe some people think 21's a lot, but I'm not seeing a lot of student spread. And I have to say that some of the measures that we put in place are helping with that. I don't know. But, so my proposal, well, one last thing, one last piece of data I wanted to show you is, I thought it might be of interest to you to know where we are in our class sizes. Because of the measures that we put in place from the get-go, and I think I shared this with you, I put the smallest class and the largest class and the average class size, okay? And this is because we used some of the CARES Act dollars to hire some more teachers to try to keep the class sizes down. We restructured some of the schedules at the secondary schools, such as the 4x4, where each teacher was teaching an extra period so that kids could spread out. So I don't need to read this to you, but you can see is that I feel good that for the most part, we do have a few. You know, these 23s are hard to social distance completely in a classroom, but in most normal years, we wouldn't think anything of having 27 to 30 kids in a classroom, you know. So, you know, if we had 32, we would get a parapro to help. So I just wanted you to recognize this, that before I go to my recommendation to you to contemplate or ask me questions about, is I wanted you to see these class sizes. And this was by design. So, the proposal, and I do want to say that I did spend time with the president of the Teachers Association, and the one question would be, if our county goes to red, would you still want to stay face-to-face, or would you want to go full remote learning? And it was 68% would like to stay face-to-face, 32, so more than 2/3 of the teaching staff want to keep kids in school. So not that drives everything, but it's important to get that information.
So this was specifically asking about in red? Or?
It was asking about if our county were to go to red based off of Panhandle Health's 3 gating metrics.
Yeah, but not when we, as a school district, have gone to red.
No.
Gotcha.
No.
It's Panhandle's red.
But what we're saying is that there's a misconception because people are watching what's happening on the dial, and then it's like, hey, how come we didn't go to orange? Well, we don't have to go to orange, and you as a board did not make a decision to change our education program. Okay, so the recommendation is that because of those class sizes I showed you, there really is no reason, and this is conclusive, working with the Teacher Association, that we would really benefit from what we put out as an orange plan. So what we're recommending is that we would remove that orange plan, because the only benefit of the orange plan would truly to be splitting the class size exactly in half. And that's very, very problematic at the secondary level, because if you did it by alphabet, that's not going to work anyway, because you didn't schedule kids by alphabet in certain classes. You could take one class, had all the kids A through, G, and now we only have 3 kids in that class. You can see that it's problematic. So the proposal here is to remove the orange plan. In the red plan, which would be the substantial risk, high critical community or individual school transmission, and these are terms that are out there, school will remain open in the same hybrid schedule outlined in the yellow plan, with the following adjustments to go into effect within the following work week. Okay? And so face coverings are required at elementary K-6 schools when social distancing cannot be obtained. But if we have small class sizes and we can obtain social distancing, it wouldn't be any different than what we're doing now. Once they're in their cohort, they're socially distanced, they would not need face coverings. Additional building safety measures, examples, adjustment to instructional practices. So we may have an increased emphasis from teachers really trying to social distance. I'm using these as examples because I don't want that to be a mandate. I want that to just say, building by building, what can we do if we have an increased risk or we're starting to see some things happening in our schools. Possible adjustment to secondary lunch schedules. Possible additional breaks at the elementary level at teacher discretion. Some more fresh air breaks, and again, I say at teacher discretion. And full or extracurricular activities has come up. Our recommendation is just to follow the Idaho High School Activity Association guidelines, as well as consider state, regional, and local recommendations. That's broad. I don't think we want to micromanage that. Full remote learning. Okay, so that means we would shut down like we did in the spring. Okay, will be utilized as a result of a local or state stay-at-home order. So unless we had an order, a stay-at-home order put in place, okay, we would stay in our yellow plan.
Right.
Or full remote learning may be utilized, and when we say full remote learning, that could be short-term. That could be for 1 week or 2 weeks. Due to an extensive spread of COVID in an individual school as determined by the Lake Pend Oreille School District School Board. So what I'm saying is Phil at Clark Fork hasn't had any spread in his school. We're having an issue at Sandpoint High School. Why would we send the whole school district into remote learning? Maybe we would send Sandpoint High School students into remote learning for 2 weeks to get it under control. Clark Fork doesn't change. Maybe we have an outbreak in one elementary school where we need to look at that and we need to just take a little bit of a break and do some remote learning. I think we know, and I'm here to say fully remote learning is a hardship on families. It's hard on kids. You've heard over and over again that kids want to be at school, and yes, there are debates on some of the safety measures we put in place, but my recommendation is that we keep our kids in school as long as we possibly can, using our yellow plan. I feel very good about the work that went into our hybrid plan, and again, you know that I am a big fan of parental choice when it comes to most things. And today, in our hybrid plan, parents have the choice to send their kids to school 0 days up to 5 days. If we get an increase in the community spread, and some families are starting to get nervous about that, keep your kids home, and you go to remote learning, and you use our learning management system. Our teachers are keeping those up. K6 is Google Classroom, and secondary is Schoology, and you as a parent decide what's best for your family. And we're not shutting down for everybody. Or you want to send them 2 days a week to keep some connection, but you want to be cautious. We welcome that. Their attendance is they get an O for you went online that day. So that is what I'm asking today for you to look at, and then we would change what our plan says as far as red would now go to this. So I'll open that. Sorry, it was kind of long-winded, but we spent some time on that over the last week, and I'd open up the questions.
Okay, well, first of all, let me tell you, I think it's a great plan. I'm glad we're doing it. It gives us a little more flexibility, and that way we're not trapped if the county comes out and goes red and people think we have to go red, and it's going to be big changes. So it covers that very well. It gives us and the board the opportunity to be a little more flexible. We could go school by school, not the whole school district. And I think it's a good plan, but I'm open to other comments from board members.
I support you 100%. When you created these plans and the board examined these, the word was flexibility. we knew we were gonna have to change. This had never been done before. You know, this is a minor change, I think, to make it better. It still gives, it's still, you know, we want to keep kids in school, you know, and we still want to keep kids in school, and this keeps kids in school, you know, so I support this change, you know, as far as remote learning goes. I'd like to still keep it in the board's decision as to whether we go to remote learning versus a state index. You know, so I support, you know, the superintendent's proposal, you know, with the remote learning specified by the board.
And I guess, Chair Kelly, I'd just like to emphasize that any change in the programming is the board's decision. It is not an executive decision by me. So,
I mean, we know that our school district's unique, you know. We're not following our county necessarily or our region, you know. Shown County and or Kootenai County and Boundary County are now in the red. We're still in the orange. So you know, things that are happening in other parts of the state, you know, don't necessarily apply to us. I think we need to look at our own community and make our own decisions.
Yeah, I
Cheryl,
agree.
anything there?
No, I appreciate here the last part of your paragraph where if we do recommend full remote learning for a specific school, there's still accommodation being made for those who may need face-to-face on special circumstance.
right. And I can use some examples that we would look at. Sometimes maybe we would hold socially distanced, but we bring some special education students in. We could also accommodate families who don't have the internet and remote learning doesn't work for them. We really want to be flexible and accommodate our families the best that we possibly can. And I know that's hard. We're in a time where we can't make everybody happy all the time, and our spectrum is from here to here. Believe me, I hear it. But I do think this gives the board more flexibility in helping you make decisions.
I also appreciate that you consulted with Brian Smith and advice from the teachers on that. I appreciate that.
Really?
Keep them in school.
Lonnie?
I have a question on Lakeland. It's not specifically on this, but you've spoken to Becky. What are they seeing? Yeah, what are they seeing spread-wise in their schools?
I can get that for you. I'll write that down. I will
But
get you.
they are on a similar plan
Correct.
as we are, correct?
Without masks.
I'm not going to say they borrowed our plan, but they borrowed our plan.
Gary, they've
Sorry.
recommended that. Yeah, they've recommended that.
They have recommended, they don't have mask mandate.
Right.
They have, you know,
I will get that data for you.
but, you know, other school districts, Lakeland, Coeur d'Alene, and Boundary County have all changed, you know, during the school year, you know.
Yeah.
Their boards have made decisions to switch. You know, I really like our plan, you know, because we haven't had to change. You know, we've been able to accommodate everybody, you know, under our yellow plan.
I think consistency for families is important, that they can keep a consistent schedule, and that we're not going back and forth week to week.
I think the biggest, the last draft on here, with what's happening in our community and what's happening in our schools. They are two very, very different things. And, the argument can be made all day long about what's real with COVID and what's not. But these numbers don't lie.
Well, I can tell you every weekend, and I really love our nursing staff, but every weekend I get the Saturday call, the Sunday call. So Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays are the busy days when, must be when people are getting tested, that we get our results back, that we start doing contact tracing on the weekend. And kudos to our nursing staff for working on the weekend, but, working with our principals. But so every weekend we're working through this. And again, I want to emphasize, parents, please just keep your kids home if they're not feeling well, and or if somebody in your household is not feeling well,
Yeah.
until you're sure they're not positive. And that right there, to me, helps keep other families' kids in school.
It's the same principle as if your kid has a cold, or if your kid has flu. Like, if your kid's sick, and they could be contagious, it doesn't matter what it is, keep them home. It's the same principle that we use in our private lives.
Okay, well, I think
So-
we're ready for a motion.
I would make a motion that we approve the revised Lake Pondere School District reopening plan as presented.
Second. With the remote learning option.
It's on there.
We have an order and second motion, and a second to that motion, that we adopt this plan as presented to us tonight. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and it passes with a unanimous vote. And that conducts most of our business meeting. We do have time for a few announcements, and we'll start with our superintendent.
Yeah, obviously tomorrow is Veterans Day, a very important day in our schools. Obviously during COVID time, we didn't feel that large assemblies and bringing the veterans in, we're going to miss that because that's always been a highlight hearing. But thanks to the Daily D, they had an article
Yeah, it was
today
very nice.
about all the different things that are going on in the schools with Veterans Day. And it is important from, contacting veterans and getting pictures and videos and connecting and talking about the stories of the fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers who have served. So again, for the people on the board that have served, I'll say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to make an announcement. The United States Marine Corps is 245 years old today.
Oh.
It's even older than I am. I mean,
Yeah.
this is.
I was gonna ask you if you were there.
I just missed the opening. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
both of you.
A few other announcements.
Yes.
I do want you to know that the Idaho High School Activity Associations did come out with their winter sports indoor recommendations that you may hear about. And their recommendation under Governor Little's stage 3 of reopening is to limit spectators to 50, socially distanced. So, just letting you know that would not include the essential players, the coaches, the workers, people who are taking the clocks, those type of things, but then it would be at 50 at this time. So our high schools are working with that at this point in time.
So then I have a question. I know this is out of your hands, but to say the least. But we have a gymnasium for a basketball game.
I know.
You can socially distance
Right.
hundreds of people in that
Wow.
gymnasium.
So we can write a proposal to Panhandle Health if we want to vary from that. And I will work with Principal Kemmy and Chris Knowles at Sandpoint High School and Sandpoint Middle School if we feel that we would need to do that.
I mean, that's 50 people. That's not even what's that, one parent per kid on the team?
Well,
that's
You
crazy.
get the visiting team, that's what I was just saying. I mean, that's just pretty much parents, that's all.
Okay.
I'm just
All right.
wanted to pass it on.
No, not trying to shoot
So,
the messenger.
Also, just congratulations to the Sandpoint High School swim team. They had a virtual state meet, okay, and that was based off of times, but congratulations to them, both Sandpoint High School girls and boys swim teams each took second at state.
Nice.
Clark Forks volleyball team represented the North Star League at state volleyball. Sandpoint High School football team will be playing in the semifinals in Rexburg this Friday. And also, just for the people out there, this is the week for the ISBA conference that is being held virtually. So again, yeah. And also we have Sandpoint High School's cross-country team, boys brought fourth place trophy home, and the girls placed ninth. And just did an excellent job. Matt, when's the last time we had a trophy in cross-country?
The girls 2017,
Yeah,
the boys 2014.
okay. So congratulations to Matt, Angie, and the whole cross-country team there.
Yep. Good.
I think that's it.
Is that Casey back there?
Way back here.
Everything for us?
Yeah, really, just, I guess, really quick, two things. One is our Veterans Day. What we ended up doing was kind of really exciting today. We saw some kids. What we did is we had students write a note to a veteran, just a quick note, and we posted them all on a wall with some things. And then we did some videos of some specific stories that students had about, like an uncle or an aunt or a parent maybe that served. And so we're going to share that with some local veterans. And then we also, our ski and ride program is picking up, and we've got 120 students, and so I wanted to thank everybody for just the fact that we're able to do some of those things. It's such a great program. And we've got 120 students who are excited to go up and to participate and to learn how to ski. So it's pretty great to be able to still do those things, and so I wanted to thank all of you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Phil, any last words from Clark?
I'm good this time.
Did I miss anybody?
Thank you.
Okay, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.